Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason. I am your watch guy today. Today I am reviewing what is dubbed as the perfect field watch. It has inspirations from World War II field watches. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's available in 4 different colours and I have 3 of them to show you today. I'm of course talking about the Mitch Mason Chronicle. Now if you follow me on Instagram, if you don't you should, links in the description or usernames in the description. Every now and then I'll put up a picture of what I'm wearing that week, what's in rotation. I'll put them all in my little Zelos carry case and take them to work with me so I can swap it through the day and get a different feel of each watch. I've actually had this Mitch Mason in circulation for about a month now, or one of each of these Mitch Masons, to get a feel for them, and honestly they're just so enjoyable to wear. Let me turn this camera around and let me get into this review. Before I do that, if you are interested in them, the link's in the description to the Mitch Mason website. I believe they are shipping the Desert Sand this May. So yeah, go check that out. Now into the review. So as you can see, I've been sent 3 of the Mitch Masons to review for you. I wasn't meant to get 3. This just happy accident type of thing. We have the grey, the jet black, and I believe this is the Desert Sand, maybe? I think that's what they call it. It's a sort of off-white type of colour. So I'm going to go through these for different sections. Obviously it's the same case, different dial colour and slightly different dial finishes from the jet black and the other 2, so we'll get into that. We'll talk about the casing diameter and everything like that on this lovely grey variant. This is probably my favourite dial colour out of the lot of them. Now, these movements are actually SW200 movements, Sleater SW200s. However, in actual production, it's going to be a Miyota 9039, I believe, which is a high beat Japanese movement. The Miyota 9 series is actually quite well received by a lot of watch people. Now, there are a couple of changes from the prototypes. That's what these are. These are prototypes. One thing to also mention is that they've been through a lot of other people. So any dings and stuff like that, then we're going to have to forgive, because it has been passed around and, you know, used as it should be. It's a field watch. I hope that they've beaten it to death. Not to death. Not to death. That's not what I'm doing. You guys get me. So the production models are 200 meters water resistance. The crowns have reduced ridges on them. I actually quite like the ridges on these, but I can see why. The finishing is obviously going to be better. That's what we expect in a prototype and production model. And the second hand will be slightly shorter, just so it reaches to the edge of the second or minute track. Just so it reaches to the edge of that minute track instead of all the way out, which again is a good change. And they're also going to put 5 layers of anti-reflective coating on the underside of this crystal. So all good things. Now let's talk about the dimensions. This is a field watch, so it's a small watch. It's 36.5 millimeters, which for me is a perfectly wearable field watch. I actually quite like this style of watch, this type of sizing, because it's so easy to wear. It's just, yeah, it's comfortable, and honestly, it's a joy to wear usually when they're this size. It is 13.3 millimeters thick. On the Mitch Mason website, it will say 12 plus 1.5 for the crystal. I have this at 13.3, so yeah, that was on my calipers. It is 43.5 millimeters long lug to lug, and the lugs are 20 millimeters wide, so plenty of strap options on this one. Now, the lug to lug is also a really good number because it's going to be very easy to wear. For many people, it's going to be a comfortable wear because it's such a short, compact lug to lug size. Let's talk about the rest of this casing. Some absolutely beautiful finishing on this. When I read that they were going to be making the finishing better, I was thinking, how? But I'm sure they will. This is absolutely gorgeous. High level of polish on the bottom of this. High level polish around the outer edge of the bezel, and a nice strip of lineal brushing, very slight lineal brushing along the casing, or horizontal should I say. We have high polish lugs, as you can see, and they are adjoined by this very lovely flat piece of brushing, very broken up very well, this watch. It's very nice to look at, put it that way. High polish finish on the bezel also. One thing to say about the high polish finish is it's gonna ding up. If you use this watch as it is intended as a field watch, then it will ding up. It is a perfect little beater watch, but you'll notice the beating, I guess. It is a screw down crown on this one. As I said, they are going to change the ridges on this, but I quite like the ridges. Very good action on it. However, different movements in the actual production ones will mean that the action will be different, so I can't really comment on that. On the crown, we have the signed logo of Mitch Mason. I believe they're going to refine that also. I like the rugged look of this watch. It just looks like a field watch, and I know that's what they're going for, so it's a stupid thing to say, but it gives you that vibe, a very vintage field aesthetic to an almost retro look, however modernized. As we move to the case back of this, you can see that it's very nicely engraved with the Mitch Mason crest. Very nice case back on this with the usual information around the outer edge. It is a screw down case back, with that being a screw down case back and this being a screw down crown and the rest of the casing, of course. This watch has 200 meters of water resistance. Covering the dial of this one, we have a very lovely piece of sapphire crystal that is nicely domed. As I said, they're going to make the anti-reflective coating in the actual production models a little bit better, so that's something to also look forward to. As we move into the dial, as I say, this is the grey variant. We have printed Arabic numerals around the dial. They are also in a very vintage type of style. We have an unusual train track minute track around the outer edge, and unusual, I mean these blocks that break up the train track at the 12, 3, 6 and 9. They're a little bit different. Now, I really do like the aesthetic of the larger 12, 3, 6 and 9. I think that makes them stand out very well, and the slight aesthetic of the smaller numerals is very nicely received. It breaks the dial up, it makes it look very aesthetically pleasing to me. The Mitch Mason print is also very slight on the dial, very petite. Below that we have the Chronicle print, and at the 6 o'clock we have a very decorative automatic print. Now, one real feature of this watch is that handset. Absolutely gorgeous handset. Very original, almost cathedral style handset on this one. Someone actually pointed out to me that it kind of looks like someone giving the finger, this hour hand. I don't know if you can quite see it, but that made me giggle a little bit. I actually really like the handset on here. It's actually the thing that drew me to these watches so much. I just thought that it was really original, very, very nice style of them, and I think they've done this very well. The minute hand is a triangular fashion with a bridge across the center. The thing that I really like about this colored option is this blue second hand. It really gives a little bit of color to this watch. It brings it into a more modern type of feel. The rest of the watch is very vintage in aesthetic. However, this blue second hand really brightens up the watch for me. Now, let's move on to the next color variant. So I believe this one is the Desert Sand variant. And you can see it has the same handset on this one, aside from the second hand. Let me just wind this up. Now, the main difference with this one is that it's very monotone. So it is black and cream throughout, unless you count the handset with the stainless steel border. Now, we have the same Mitch Mason Chronicle logo on it. This one isn't exactly my favourite. I don't think there's enough going on for me in this one. I would have liked a little bit more colour. Just personally not for me. However, I can see why some people would like it. It will give you a very nice vintage aesthetic to the dial. It will give you a nice antique sort of look. However, that's not for me. Now, moving on from that, we have a very interesting change in the black dial variant. As you can see from me moving this around a little bit, you can see that it's a different dial. This one is actually a sandwich dial, which I really, really do enjoy. I wish they were all the same. But the depth that the dial gives the casing and the dial itself is really nice on this. So it's almost as if they placed a black dial above this cream dial here. It's a really nice effect. The Mitch Mason logo is on this one instead of just the print. The Chronicle print is in orange, which gives it a nice flash of colour, and it accents this really nice second-hand tip very well. The orange painted onto there. It's a very subtle touch, but it's very, very well done, and it brings out a little bit of colour in this one. Now, it will be interesting to see the differences in the lume of these, if there is any. Let me just pop this down and we'll talk about that. So we're going to give these a little run with the UV torch. Okay, the lume on that one is quite good actually. I like that they've lumed the larger surfaces at the 12, 3, 6 and 9. I think that's a very good effect. The handset lume is very well applied, very well spread. Actually, the lume and the entirety of the watch is actually well applied. Now, I think the beige or cream coloured dial will be the same type of effect. I don't think anything else but the minute track and handset will be lumed. So let's give it a little charge and see what we're dealing with. Yep, exactly the same type of lume as we expected. Again, very nicely applied, very evenly applied. And let's move on to the black variant. Now you can see instantly the difference in them, and it is why I would probably pick this option up as over the other two, or the other three colorways actually. I quite like the blue variant that they have, but this black one really does do it for me. As you can see, the numerals or the lower dial on this one is lumed, so it gives that really nice lume type of signature to this one. Now, I personally would have liked to have seen all of them with the same lume signature because I think it's absolutely brilliant. It'd definitely be something that you have to consider at the checkout, which one you're going to pick these up in, because I think this is definitely a winner. However, the blue and grey do have a much nicer colour type of aesthetic to them. So now we're finished with that lume shot, let's talk about the band options on these. Now, I've been sent two different band options. As you can see, this is a really nice leather option. It's well moulded, it has quick release spring bars, and it's actually really comfortable on wrist. I really like the large keeper on this too, with the Mitch Mason logo indented onto it. As you can see, the buckle has the same type of effect as the watch itself. So I bring this one up to show you. So as you can see on the polish and brushing, we have a stripe of polish down the side of the brush finish, which I think is a really nice piece of continuity. I think it really gives a nice effect to the watch itself. Now, it's a nice little piece of finishing from them. They don't particularly need to concentrate that much on the buckle of the band, but they have. And it's the small things that really do add up to a really good watch for me. Now, as we move on to the other style of band, you can see that it's a nice suede aesthetic on this one, suede band. It has a leather back on it, which is actually, again, really, really comfortable. I quite like the stitching on this one. It gives it a very field type of aesthetic, very nice wartime type of aesthetic for me. It does complete the look very nicely, and the buckle, or the keeper even, does exactly the same. I quite like these watches. I quite like the bands. I'm a big fan of them. I'm a big fan of the watch. Let me pop these on wrist so you can have a look at what we've got. See how it fits to my 36.5 inch wrists. My wrists aren't 36.5 inches, sorry. 6.2 inch wrists. I've just quoted the lug to lug in, no, I've just quoted the diameter in inches for some reason. As you can see, it fits really well. Now, smaller wrists, this is going to be perfect, but I also think there's a lot of gents out there with bigger wrists that like a 32mm watch. You need to remember back in the day, this was the style. I mean, you look back into the 90s and people had smaller watches just like this. Rolexes were with this size. Yeah, I quite like it. It fits very nicely. I really do like it. Let me move on to the grey one. I won't pop the put cream on this just because it's the same band as the grey. So here we go. Again, really like the colour on this one. I like the sort of pale grey even. I think that's what I'll go with. Pale blue grey. I really like the effect of it. I wish that it had the same sandwich dial because then it'd be a complete winner for me. However, the black is my favourite with that dial. Now, I do have a couple of moans for these watches. I say couple, I mean, there's not that many. And they're quite picky, to be honest. Firstly, I would have liked to see the same dial in all of them, the same Lume effect in all of them, because I think the other two dials kind of come out a little bit worse off. Another thing to mention is I think this one's really bland. I think the cream is just, it's a no-go for me. I don't know if everyone will feel the same, but that's just my opinion. I feel like they've missed out on that one. I feel like this one, the black one, and the blue variant that they have are absolutely stunning. That one's just the ugly duckling of the bunch, unfortunately. Another thing to mention is the polish on this one. As I did say, it will ding up. It is effectively a beta watch, a field watch, beta watch, whatever you want to say. It's an everyday do everything type of watch, so it will get a little bit of use and it will wear the watch's polish down quite a bit. That's something to consider. However, I don't think it'll put many people off. And finally, I'm not too sure about the price. Fantastic quality in these watches, that has to be said. Absolutely brilliant quality. But you are going to pay that, I like to call it Microbrand tax. These are $499, which isn't exactly the cheapest watch out there. I think you're going to have to really be keen on this. It does come into the Hamilton khaki type of area, so it has some competition, but I feel like this one has a little bit of character, and I think that can offset that decision, that competition. So that's also something to consider, but I know a lot of people will be picky about the price on this one. Personally, I see why it's that type of price. I understand the pricing of it. So guys, that has been the Mitch Mason. The Mitch Mason Chronicle even. It's been a pleasure having three watches. Well, three of the same watches in at the same time. It's nice to see different dials and different aesthetics of the same piece. That's been very pleasurable for me as a reviewer. And I really do buy in to their tagline of the perfect everyday watch. That's the type of feel that I get from this. It is the do anything type of vibe to these ones. So guys, I finally got in the Mitch Mason. I was asking for this one since last year, and obviously COVID and all the other setbacks, I was just glad to finally get one of these in, never mind three of them. I really do appreciate having the three in. These will be going on to new reviewers, other people to have a look at them, because I don't get to keep any of these, which is very unfortunate, because this would be the perfect field watch for any collection in my mind, especially that black dial, the black sandwich dial. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. If you are interested in these, the website is in the description. Go check them out. And I will hopefully see you in the next video. Please remember to subscribe, and thank you for watching, guys. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason, and I forgot to turn on my ring light.